So there is a general question among all the chat messages students that whether the recording will be provided. So yes, we will provide you the recording of that after the class, maybe later tonight or tomorrow. And let me first discuss with you the objective of this webinar. And after the objective, we will start discussing some issues. Now, this webinar for my subjects which I teach. Like for audit and assurance, that is F8. For financial management, that is F9. And for advanced financial management, that is P4. And for performance management, that is F5. Since the last 1.5 years, we basically started this webinar thing on our private institution basis that we will be offering this webinar free of cost to students. And obviously, we all know that at this moment when Monday is your exam, so everyone would be prepared or someone would be in their final stages of preparation, but we must tell them the final tips and tricks of how to solve the question, what important aspects, because in audit paper, everybody thinks that whatever they have written is correct, but the examiner doesn't give marks on that. So what is the reason of not gaining marks? And obviously I want to help you not just with this session, with 1 or 2 more video sessions of any important drafting skills areas, obviously, but that I won't be conducting live. I will provide you a recording of that. So the first thing which you all should do, and on where I will forward my videos and tips and tricks, I will be making a WhatsApp group for this Audit and Assurance webinar for June 2021. The link of that has been sent to all of you in the chat box, okay? Not necessarily now, after the session or whenever you wish to, like, you need to click on that link, so you will join my WhatsApp group. And after this session, till the exam date, we will try to solve your queries as much as possible. And we'll help you through 1 or 2 more video lectures of specific drafting skills areas so that you are absolutely perfect before going to the exam. So let's just formally start what we are going to do in this session. I would advise you all to wait for question and answers, because I will give you people time at the end of the session, so you can ask your questions. And the objective of WhatsApp group is also the same, that you can ask questions from me even after the session is over. Now, the audit and assurance exam, as you all know, that the exam which is scheduled for coming on Monday, your examination is based on 2 sections, right? Section A and Section B, okay? Now, as far as the Section A is concerned, you all know that you are going to get 3 multitask questions, okay? And or people call it OTQ, objective type question. So whether you call it a multitask section, whether you call it objective type question, you are going to get 3 of these, and the worth of every MTQ is basically 10 marks each, okay? And you all know that in Section B, you are going to get 3 long questions, question 1, question 2, question 3. So question 1 is worth 30 marks. Question number 2 is worth 20 marks. And question number 3 is also worth 20 marks. So these are the 100 marks portion of your exam, okay? Now, in my personal opinion, I always stress students that in order to ensure a pass in the exam, it is important that this particular section, namely Section B, has to be in a commanding position, okay? We all know, no matter how much we say that we have absolute command or stuff like that, you know, MTQs are tricky, okay? Because it is very easy to solve MCQs or MTQs when you have no pressure. Like I give you a question and say, okay, you have 2 hours, solve this MTQ. You will do it. But in the time constraint, when the clock is ticking and you know that you only have 3 hours to complete the exam, MTQs, the option seems mixing and stuff like that. So it is a bit tricky to score marks in this particular area. Okay. So my advice is that when you go in the examination, first attempt this section B. First attempt this section B. And once you are done with section B, then come back to section A. Now, the good thing is that we all know that what is going to come in those 70 marks of section B. Okay, the paper is portrayed in advance. We all know what is going to, if you have researched some about the examiner reports or the past paper pattern, you must know that what is going to come in section B of this exam. Approximately 15 to 18 marks question comes from test of controls, or you can say controls area. Okay, you can expect 15 to 18 marks from substantive procedures. Okay, then 15 to 18 marks you can expect from audit risk. Okay, ten to 12 marks you can expect in the exam from reports. The reports means either subsequent events or going concern. And finally, 10 to 12 marks. It's going to be either ethics or it's going to be corporate governance. Okay, so if you see that, if I see at the minor side 15, 15, 15, 45, 10, 55 and 10, 65. So approximately 65 to 70 marks, we know that what topics are going to come in the exam, and if I have command on this, then I can easily go and clear this exam. Now, if we further elaborate this stuff, that we said 15 to 18 marks in section B of test of controls, same thing. Okay, 15 to 18 marks from substantive procedures, 15 to 18 marks from audit risk, 10 to 12 marks from reports, that's going to be subsequent events, going concern, and 10 to 12 marks from ethics and corporate governance. Okay, what comes in this? That's important. Now, if I say that 15 to 18 marks comes from the section of controls, 15 to 18 marks comes from the section of controls. Okay, what happens in this? People who are in preparation of this, they know we are provided a scenario. Okay, and in that scenario, the question asks you to identify weaknesses, state the possible impact of weakness, state the recommendation also called control, and state the test of control. Okay, question asks you to identify weakness from the scenario, impact of those weakness, recommendation, control, and test of control. Okay, so weakness and its impact is 1 mark, recommendation, control is 1 mark, and test of control is 1 mark. Okay, so if it identifies 5 weaknesses, 5 marks for this, 5 recommendations for this, and 5 test of controls, 15 marks. Okay, if it identifies 6 weaknesses, 6 marks, then control 6 marks, test of control 6 marks. I don't know whether everything will be tested, but usually it asks for weaknesses, their impact, recommendation, control. Sometimes it asks for test of controls as well. So 15 to 18 marks you can expect from this particular section. Okay. Now, if we read the examiner reports, that a student says that I wrote the answer of weakness and I stated the impact, I stated the recommendation, control, I stated the test of control. In my opinion, I was right, but still the examiner didn't give me enough marks. Okay, so what's the problem? Now, if I say orally, explain the weaknesses, everyone would be perfect. State the impact, everyone would be perfect. Okay, but explaining something in written form is difficult. You have to communicate your feelings to someone in written form. That is difficult. Okay, so examiner states that whenever a student writes weakness from the scenario, okay, we give no credit on this. Why there is no credit on weakness? Because you shouldn't be given any credit on weakness, because that's provided by the question. You have literally done nothing if you have written weakness, because the question provided you. Like if you read any scenario, there is no segregation of duties, one person is doing all tasks, and you wrote this is the weakness. What did you do? It's given in the question. Okay, or the company is dealing in cash, and you wrote weakness, companies dealing in cash. There shouldn't be any credit for this. Why there shouldn't be any credit on this? Because the company is dealing in cash, that's written in the scenario. Where you will get credit? Credit would be given when you write the impact. When you write the impact, impact has marks, and the impact examiner reports say there is a heavy problem that students write this. Let's suppose the company is dealing in cash. This is the weakness. People write impact. This will lead to fraud. And they expect that examiner gives them 1 mark. This will lead to fraud. That's too small. There is no segregation of duties. One person is doing all tasks, no segregation of duties. Impact, this will lead to error. You're absolutely not going to gain marks on such short points. And I say that when students come out of the examination hall and they say, oh, I was all right. If company is dealing in cash, this will lead to fraud. I was right. You were right, partially right, not absolutely right. There is no segregation of duties. This will lead to error. You were not right. You were partially right. Examiner wants explanation. Examiner wants explanation. Just a second, please. So what the examiner wants? Examiner states that you need to elaborate things in detail, like the company is dealing in cash. This is a weakness, right? This can lead to fraud as employees who are having cash can steal it, leading to loss for the company. Now see the difference in what you have written and what I have written. Elaboration is the key in controls. Now, people might say that this will lead to fraud and come out of the examination hall. I wrote correctly. You are partially correct. You are not absolutely correct. So make sure you don't elaborate too less. Obviously, you don't need to elaborate so much like you see in the kit answers or examiner's answers. That's also too long. Remain to the point, but not one-liner points won't score you marks. Okay. Similarly, there is lack of segregation of duties. Okay, lack of segregation of duties, like one person is involved in too many tasks, so obviously this is a weakness. Impact, this can lead to error. Very short, no elaboration. Okay, impact, if one person is doing all tasks, he can be overburdened, leading to errors being made. So see, I also wrote that this can lead to errors, but I elaborated more compared to what you elaborated. Similarly, I remember a question in which there was a weakness written that When we deliver goods, we don't take signatures on delivery. Okay, when we deliver goods, we don't take signatures on delivery. Is it a weakness? Yes, when you deliver stuff and you don't take signatures on delivery, it is a weakness. Impact. I've seen many answers, I've checked many answers. Customers can do fraud with us. Again, this point isn't going to score you mark, or at least I'm quite confident this is not going to score you 1 mark. Should be in detail. When we deliver goods, we don't take signatures on delivery. Customers who have received goods may claim that they haven't. They might claim again, leading to loss for the company. Now see, when customers do fraud, this is very short. When you don't take sign, customers who have received goods, they may claim that they haven't received. They might claim again and we have to deliver them. This can lead to loss. So see the elaboration difference, that what you elaborate and what it should be written. Okay. Recommendation and control isn't that difficult. Test of control is also very short, but the major marks shouldn't lose in impact. Okay, so if you want to copy few of this stuff, you can copy this, then I will move towards the further areas like substantive, like ethical threats, etc. there is a general concern among few students. This may lead to fraud. This can create fraud. This could lead to fraud. Obviously, this is not a grammar paper. Okay, so don't worry about that. You should write this could lead to fraud. This can do fraud. This can lead to fraud. And there is no marks for tenses, obviously. Okay. Now, the second issue is substantive procedures, which also come for a good 15, 18 marks. Okay. Now, in substantive procedures, there can be substantive procedures asked for assets, for payables, for receivables, for payroll. In short, substantive procedures can be asked for any P&L or any balance sheet item. Substantive procedures can be asked for any P&L or any balance sheet item. Now, in substantive procedures, if there is no case study, write general substantive procedures. Okay, if there is no case study, you write general procedures. Okay, but if there is case study, you need to write procedures by stating company name. Okay, so if there is no case study, write general procedures. If there is case study, write procedure by stating company name. For example, you are given a question in the exam. Write 5 substantive procedures for verifying bank balance. 5 substantive procedures for verifying bank balance. Now, if a company has bank balance, okay, how will we verify bank balance? Okay, you can write send a confirmation letter to bank to verify bank balance. Okay, and review bank statements to verify bank balance. Okay, but let's suppose the question is there is a small case study given of XYZ Limited, and then you are asked how can auditor verify the bank balance of XYZ Limited. So you just have to link it to the scenario. Now people think that linking is very difficult. It's not. You just have to tailor it according to company. Send a confirmation letter to XYZ Limited bankers to verify bank balance. Review bank statement of XYZ Limited to verify bank balance. Now this is according to the scenario. I'm talking about the scenario. Obviously people think that linking means that you have to write the whole stuff from the scenario. This is absolutely incorrect. You just have to make a small discussion regarding the specific company. Okay. Plus, there are many presumptions on it. And in this, there is some role of the tutors as well, that you obviously have to mention assertion as well. No, I challenge you all that if anyone says that assertions are compulsory, don't listen to me, don't listen to anyone else. Just go and read the examiner answers. If in examiner answer, every substantive procedure mentions as assertion, then you should write. But if some mention assertion, some not, that means it is not compulsory. Okay. And I am talking about this in a very, very responsible position. Okay. Because you all know that this is the way I teach, this is the way I guide students. And since the last 3 attempts, the highest marks in Pakistan are being secured by my students who write like this. And in the last attempt, the highest marks in the world was secured by my student. She wrote like this. Okay. So just making yourself confused that assertion is compulsion, that's wrong guidance, and that's your presumption. If you read the examiner answers properly, in some procedures assertion is written and in some procedure it's not, which clearly is evidence that it's not compulsory. Okay. But there is a general thing that people who are writing substantive procedures, they're obviously very much worried that substantive procedures, how we will write. Now, the very simple strategy that if you want to write substantive procedures for any area, just think about it, whether the procedure can be for any external source. Okay. Then can it be verified through any corresponding transaction? Or it can be verified through internal source. Okay. These are the 3 ideas which will help you in writing substantive procedure for almost any point. You can think about any external source. Okay. You can think about any corresponding transaction. Okay. And you can think about any internal source. Okay. Let me give you some examples on this. The question asks you, write substantive procedures to verify receivables. The company is claiming in financial statement it has some receivables. Write substantive procedures for receivables. Think about any external source. Think about any correspondence transaction, or think about any internal source. So receivables can be verified by sending a confirmation letter to receivables. This is external source. Okay. Internal source, through sales invoices. Obviously, internal source means document. You can see sales invoices. If sales invoices are there, that means receivables must occur. Or any corresponding transaction. So corresponding transaction means what is the impact of this? Like you can see post year end cash receipts. Now tell me, if there is receivable written, should after the year end we must receive some cash? Yes. So if after the year end some cash is coming, that verifies that receivable was correct. But if there is no cash coming, that means the receivable was dowdy. So external source, confirmation letter through sales invoices, internal source document, or post year end cash receipts. The question asks, write substantive procedures for bank loan. The company has taken a bank loan. Any substantive procedures for bank loan? External source, internal source, corresponding transaction. So send a confirmation letter to bank. External source, it verifies bank loan. Any internal? Board minutes approval. Any approval document for bank loan, internal source, because if any internal document is being made, that means, yeah, bank loan is correct. Any corresponding transaction. View interest payments. If you have taken bank loan, should interest be paid? Yes. If no interest is being paid, that means there is doubt about bank loan. But if interest is being paid, that means it's a corresponding transaction. Obviously, sometimes examination asks 5 or 6 procedures, right? 3 days before the exam, I can deliver you the maximum knowledge. I can help you in these 3, but obviously there are others. You need to think of them yourself. However, we can help them later after the class as well. Okay. Like question asks substantive procedures for accruals. The company has booked an accrual. Okay. External source, internal source. Send confirmation letter. If it's accrual for, let's suppose, rental expense or electricity, you can send confirmation letter to the landlord, to the electricity company, whether they provided the service or not. Internal document, any bill, rental agreement, corresponding transaction, post year end payments. If you have accrual, you should pay it. So post year end payments. This is how you can just keep in mind that I can think about substantive from external, from internal, and from corresponding transaction. If you want to write, you can write this. I'm not looking at the chats at the moment. We will answer your questions at the end of the session. Don't worry, okay? Then comes 15 to 18 marks on reports. 15 to 18 marks on reports. Now, reports questions can come in two areas. One is subsequent events. One is going concern. Now, if the question is of going concern, usually either going concern comes or subsequent events come. The going concern question expects you to know what is going concern assumption, that entity is going to continue operations, okay? Auditor and management responsibilities in going concern. What are auditor responsibilities? What are management responsibilities? You need to memorize them, okay? Then indicators of going concern, problems, then audit procedures, and finally, 3 cases of going concern. Reports. Okay. So what is going concern? Usually we all know that it's an assumption that an organization is going to be able to continue operations for the foreseeable future. What are the auditor responsibilities in going concern? What are the management responsibilities in going concern? You need to memorize them. Indicators of going concern problems like sales are falling, cash is getting sucked up, and key customers are leaving, key suppliers are leaving, indicators of going concern problems. Then audit procedures, that what auditor performs procedures in going concern, and 3 cases of going concern reports, that when you write a modified opinion, when you write a qualified opinion, when you write an adverse opinion, when you write a disclaimer opinion. This is all the stuff for going concern. Now, more or less, this area is more or less on memorization. That definition of going concern, responsibilities, indicators, audit procedures, and 3 cases, okay? But what is the question of subsequent events? Subsequent events are also called events after the balance sheet date. Subsequent events are also called events after the balance sheet date, okay? What happens in this question? You are provided a scenario. Okay, and in that scenario, you are asked 3 requirements. Okay, requirement number 1, whether financial statements need amendment. Audit procedures and impact on audit report. Whether financial statements need amendment, audit procedures, and impact on audit report, right? So this involves some areas of IAS 10. You need to have clear-cut sound grab that whether the event provided to you is an adjusting event or a non-adjusting event. If it's an adjusting event, it requires adjustment in financial statements. If it's a non-adjusting event, it requires disclosure in financial statements. Then you need to highlight the audit procedures relevant to that, and again the impact on audit report, whether a qualified opinion shall be given or an adverse opinion shall be given or a disclaimer of opinion shall be given. Okay, I will not talk about this in too much detail because I will be forwarding you a video after the class in which I will explain you in detail how to write the answer of this particular three requirements, whether financial statements need amendment, the audit procedures, and the impact on audit report. Okay, now the fourth area, which is a very important area, the question of 15 to 18 marks asks audit risk and responses. Okay, now this particular question gives you a case study and asks you to write 7 risks, 7 responses. Okay, 8 risks, 8 responses, 9 risks, 9 responses. Now every risk carries 1 mark and every response carries 1 mark. And this is also an area where students think that they have done correct, but they lose marks. Now, 1 mark per risk, 1 mark per response. If it asks for 6 risks and 6 responses, 6 marks for risk, 6 marks for response, 12 marks. If it asks for 8 risks and 8 responses, 8 marks for risks, 8 marks for responses, and 16. Now, students write the risk from the scenario. And again, writing the risk doesn't give them any credit. Why? You literally haven't done anything apart from copy paste because risk was provided by the examiner in the scenario. You should not expect marks on risk. Okay. You get marks on why it is a risk. Actually, I told in detail that the recording will be available, so don't worry, please. Thank you. There are a lot of messages whether we will get recording. Yeah, you will get recording and you can share it among any of your friends because the attendance is full, so many students are unable to join as well. Okay. So if you want to gain marks in risk, write the risk, no credit on that, and write the reason why it is a risk, and then write the response. One thing that should be remembered, this is very important. You need to write the risk, okay, and why it is a risk. It should relate to the financial statements. It should relate to the financial statements. What does this mean? There is a risk. The company has taken a loan of $10 million. So people who have prepared this, they know that company has taken a loan of $10 million is an audit risk. Now I was checking one answer. This will make it tough for the company as it has a liability burden on it. Zero marks. Who are you to decide that whether the loan will be creating a burden on the company or not? This is nothing related to financial statements. You must write why it is a risk from some financial statements aspect. Like, company has taken a loan of $10 million, financial impact. There is a risk that this loan is incorrectly split between current and non-current liability. Okay, now this is something related to financial statements, that there's a risk that this loan is incorrectly split between current and non-current liabilities. Okay, and the response is some procedure that you need to see financial statements for evidence of correct split or not. But the risk must be impact of risk. Why does a risk must be related to them from some financial statements impact? Or the company made huge workforce redundant. Okay, company made its workforce redundant. Why it is a risk? Workforce will find difficulty in finding new job. Wrong. Why it is a risk? Some financial statements impact. Risk that redundancy provision not set in accordance with IAS 37. The company has increased its research and development expenditure. Okay, and there will be too much pressure on the company because there will be too many products. No, make some financial statements impact. Risk should be related to financial statements. So whenever you write risk, write the impact with relate to financial statements. Obviously, the students who have studied from us, they know all these details, but this is just for general public. So I'm telling you the key tips that you must write the impact related to financial statements and then write the response accordingly with some related to procedures. Then you can get 10 to 12 marks on ethical area. The question gives you a case study. Okay, and on this case study, you are asked to write ethical threats and some safeguards. You're asked to write ethical threats and you're asked to write safeguards. Okay, now again, if this requirement is of 10 marks, it's a 2-column answer. In 1 column, write ethical threats and in 1 column, write safeguards. It's 1 mark per ethical threat and 1 mark for safeguard. Now, Again, if you write ethical threat, the company has offered a luxury tour. Obviously, this is an ethical threat. You won't get marks on it because it's just copy pasted from the scenario that company has offered a luxury tour. Okay, so how will get marks? You need to write the category of threat, whether it's a self-interest, self-review, intimidation, familiarity, or advocacy. Unless you write the category of threat, you won't gain full marks. So when you write the threat, make sure what category it is, either it's a self-interest or a self-review or an intimidation or a familiarity or an advocacy. Plus, how it will compromise independence. You know, orally things are very easy. The thing is that communicating someone your message in written form, that's important. So the company has offered a luxury tour. Category must be written. This creates a self-interest threat category. How it will compromise independence, as independence may be compromised due to fear of loss of luxuries. If someone gives you some luxuries, why your independence compromises? Because you fear loss of these luxuries. And you know the safeguard for this, that the offer of whatever is being provided, luxury tour, should be politely refused. Okay. Similarly, the audit partner and finance director know each other very well. This is a threat that the audit partner and the finance director who has prepared financial statements, they know each other very well. No marks for this unless you write the category. This creates or constitutes a familiarity threat. They know each other. It's a familiarity threat. But how it compromises independence, as independence may be compromised due to fear of loss of personal relations. Okay, so partner and finance director know each other. It's a familiarity threat. Independence compromised due to fear of loss of personal relations. And then the safeguard. The partner should be rotated off the assignment and someone independent should be appointed in his place. You see the matter, the elaboration, that's very important. Okay. %20 of last year's fee is still outstanding. You know that overdue fees is also a threat. Okay, so when you have overdue fees, no credit for this unless you write the category. This creates, can be a self-interest as well as intimidation threat. as independence may be compromised due to fear of loss of old dues. So your fee is still outstanding. It's an intimidation of self-interest, but categories as well. Why it compromises independence? Your independence may be compromised because you will fear loss of old dues, so you will try to cater them as much as possible. And the proper safeguard of this is never start new work until all dues are clear or proper installment schedule is provided. You can write these if you want, or just take a snapshot of this. Yes, one safeguard for one threat. And apart from this ethical threats and safeguards, either you will get this or the 10 to 12 marks will be from corporate governance. Okay. Now this corporate governance question again gives you a case study and asks you to write any corporate governance weakness and recommendation. So it's again worth approximately 10 marks. 1 mark per weakness and 1 mark per recommendation. So if it has 5 weaknesses, 5 recommendations, 10 marks. 6 weaknesses, 6 recommendation, 12 marks. Okay. Again, if you write the weakness, no credit. That's given in the question. Why it is a weakness, that gives you marks, and then recommendation. Okay, so people who have studied corporate governance, they know there is one weakness. The CEO and chairman are same. Okay, CEO and chairman are same. We know it's a weakness. Why it is a weakness? This is going to score you marks. Why it is a weakness? If CEO chairman are the same, one person has too much power in his hands. This can lead to abuse of power. Now, unless you write abuse of power, you're not going to score marks. Okay, so if one person has too much powers in its hands, this can lead to abuse of power. Okay. And whoever is the person, Mr. X or Y, should resign from post of chairman and an independent non-executive director should be appointed into place. Okay, so if CEO and chairman are the same, one person has too much power in his hands, this can lead to abuse of power. And whoever is holding both positions, he should remain the CEO. He cannot resign from the post of CEO. He should remain the CEO. He should reside from the post of chairman, and an independent entity should be appointed as chairman. So why it is a weakness and response, that's important. Then there are 5 executive directors and 2 non-executive directors. Imbalance of boards, right? This is also a corporate governance weakness, that 5 executive directors and 2 NEDs. Board should make decisions in best interest of company, and no group should dominate decision making. Obviously, there are 5 EDs and 2 NEDs, it's imbalance. One group is dominating. That's why it's a weakness. And response, 3 more NEDs should be appointed to create a proper balance. So these are some very important tips and tricks. Why weakness in TOCs, why threat, write the category of threat, why it's a corporate governance weakness. Unless you write these, you will come out of the examination and say, I wrote correctly, but examiner is not going to give you complete marks. Okay. Now, we will be ending this session shortly, but this session will continue to benefit you till the examination date, because through this session at the start of the class, we created a WhatsApp group and approximately 80-85% people have joined that group as well. I will be again sharing the link of the WhatsApp group shortly on your chats. I would advise you all to join the WhatsApp group. I will answer your questions in the chat. Just a second. Just let me finish this WhatsApp group stuff. Okay, I've sent the group link again. Now, I was saying that this group is going to give you benefit till the examination date. How? I will be sharing some complimentary videos there. Okay, some complimentary videos there. They won't be of any charge. And it will be from ethical threats and safeguards area, subsequent events area. And what will be the advantage of that? You can watch this, and in that videos, I will solve one past paper question, and you can learn the approach of writing the answer. How can you write the answer? And hopefully, if you understand those videos of ethical threats or the subsequent events, and you know my strategy of writing the answer, you will ace the exam, because we don't want students to score 50 marks, 51 marks. We want to score them high marks. That's what our all students follow. That's why we secure positions. Our results are good, alhamdulillah. And if the video is not received of that particular topic which you are weak in, you can just drop me a private message as well, and we can work around sending you a video of that topic as well, because the objective of this is just to help you all to enable good performance in the upcoming exam. Now, there is one very important question from a student who says that when I read the examiner answers of substantive procedures, there are few procedures who are just written in one line form. Recalculate the total of this to ensure arithmetic accuracy. Okay. Recalculate the total of whatever it is to ensure accuracy. Now he's saying I read this from the examiner answer. Okay. It's a very small statement. Will it give me 1 mark? Now you can check the marking scheme. Marking scheme has some procedures which are long, some which are short, but every procedure is of 1 mark. Recalculate the total to ensure accuracy is a proper point which will score 1 mark, no matter it's short, no matter it's long. Okay, so we will communicate our further issues on this WhatsApp group. Okay, and I will send you some videos as well, 1 or 2 videos today, 1 or 2 videos tomorrow. And if you have any queries, you have my number in that group as well. You can contact me. Thank you very much for attending. Hope it was beneficial for all of you. Thank you very much. Take care.